right. Welcome to Dual Redundancy, the only podcast where you hear all latest in television and entertainment news with too many hosts with exactly the same opinions. I'm one of those hosts, David Allen. Another one is
John Berger. Third one is
Kyle Bridger. I would say that I am the Weekend to John's Pete Davidson to Dave's James Corden. Boom. I had to give it to you.
Already, yeah, this show's going off the rails. I'm screwing up the intro after 383 attempts. We got you're picking people like it's almost like you saw my rundown because they are not
maybe
in our two shows we're talking about. They're not in Under the Banner of Heaven or Shining Girls. They're in this first segment instead. So this already feels off. This feels like a off week. So who knows what's going to happen over the course of this next hour, but yeah, those three people are in this first segment, and I don't remember what it is. John, what is it?
In and Out points.
In oder out. In oder out. In, out.
Yes, it is in and out points. All right, supersized edition tonight. We got a lot of little news stories to talk about. One of the big ones. It hits close to home for us here on the podcast of Dual Redundancy. James Corden is leaving the Late Late Show. The Brit is ready to say goodbye. He's contracted for one more year. He extended his contract, and he will depart ahead of summer 2023 after 8.5 years of hosting and humping the air at Crosswalk musicals, as you can see on the Twitch stream.
I was going to ask, is it coincidence that he is retiring when we have finally figured out the humping gif?
We finally got John spent all the time making the gif. We've done multiple in and out points about maybe he was just, enough of this dual redundancy making fun of me. I am getting out of the hosting game. I'm moving to a different country to get away from them.
Yeah.
But
I was actually surprised to see this, and I've forgotten it's already been like 8 years, and he said, I think in the interview that he only wanted to be there 5 years and then see from there. So, wow, it is surprising. And I mean, he did make it super popular again. So I don't know, or at least with the online part of it.
Definitely with the online. Yeah, I have a statement here. It says, quote, it's a really hard decision to leave because I'm so immensely proud of the show. I'm thrilled to be extending for a year. I always thought I'd do it for 5 years and then leave. And then I stayed on. I've been really thinking about it for a long time, thinking whether there might be one more adventure. I don't know what that adventure is, but you mentioned it, Kyle. He is a viral hit maker, whether it's a humping crosswalk musical mouse. Is the entire segment, is he going to be up there, John? The entire segment? Okay, just checking.
The entire show.
No. But yeah, viral hitmaker Carpool Karaoke with Adele was watched more than 250 million times. The Late Late Show YouTube page itself has nearly 10 billion views and more than 27 million subscribers. That's the second highest in all of late night for number of subscribers.
Yeah. He's super popular, man.
Online, because then I see the ratings, and of course this would surprise no one for a show that's on at 12:35 at night, that the ratings on average, at least this last week of the Late Late Show, 846,000 viewers. That's what they're on average getting a night on CBS, a primetime network. This is where I wonder, does CBS replace Corden, or will they do something, maybe this is completely wild, just get rid of that second hour of the late night world and do something different? Is it really worth the millions and millions and millions of dollars for less than 1 million viewers when, sure, they're making a lot of money in viral hits on YouTube? Well, just make a YouTube show, or just, do something on Paramount Plus and get those viral clips. Like, is it really worth paying somebody, I don't know what Corden makes a year, 10 million a year, just to get less than 1 million viewers a night? Do you think it could be something else in that second hour, Kyle? Or is it always going to just be late night, old school?
Well, I mean, I think they can replace him if they find somebody that's, adequate or can do something with the time slot. But I don't know, what else do you want? Do you do like something like ABC and do like Frontline at that late,
Nightline, yeah,
whatever, or do you go to like a sketch comedy show? I don't know. I mean, besides the talent cost,
yeah. What is Jay Leno up to right now?
yeah. I mean, besides the talent cost, shows like that don't cost that much, So,
yeah. Outside of the host, because I mean, in the person who's going to probably star, whoever would possibly be, unless it is like some big name, it's going to be someone who's going to make small peanuts compared to. I looked up his thing. I believe it's like $9 million a year for Corden. I'm sure like people like Colbert and Fallon make way more than that, but I don't know, like because you look on like whether it's ABC or some of these other channels, that if you look, what are they airing between like 1 and 4 in the morning? It's just like a recap of news. They take their like packages from like Good Morning America and whatever, and they just kind of repurpose them for nighttime. It's like, okay, show reruns of whatever CBS sitcom you have. Maybe that'll be about the same number of viewers at 12:35 at night.
I mean, but does that outweigh the content that is seen on YouTube? Because I mean that the home is on the linear channel,
Well, that's what I'm wondering, if you just get rid of the home on linear and just do the YouTube viral hitmaker, just get somebody, on the CBS YouTube page to make YouTube videos, or on Paramount Plus, they have their show on Paramount Plus, and then they show some snippets on YouTube to make you want to get Paramount Plus, or something like that. But are you sad to see Corden go, John?
No, I'm just thinking, I do a show that's less than 1 million viewers. Why don't they let me do it?
Why can't dual redundancy get the 12:35 slot?
I'll do it for half of his salary. No worries.
Yeah.
Instant savings. Plus, no production cost to do it all myself.
There you go.
Yeah. No brainer.
One-man show. All right.
Come on.
Sounds good. Yeah, Corden was always like this anomaly in late night, because sometimes they would get this show and they would just stay in that show for 20, 30 years and not do anything else. But he used his like free time to star in films, specifically musicals.
Yep.
Cats, The Prom, Cinderella, that's where that gif is from. But does this mean now, are we going to be subject to even more James Corden musicals? Because now he has a lot more free time. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, I think we're going to see more James Corden, even in like the creative aspect of things. So he might get a lot more created stuff for himself that's going to be a musical.
Can't wait. Maybe he'll be able to star in one of the Wicked movies, because the movie adaptation of the musical Wicked will now come to theaters in 2 films rather than just one. First one's going to be December 2024. The other one's a year later, December 2025. Director John Chu, who recently did In the Heights, quote, "As we prepared the production over the past year, it became increasingly clear that it would be impossible to wrestle the story of Wicked into a single film without doing some real damage to it. As we tried to cut songs or trim characters, those decisions felt like fatal compromises to the source material that has entertained us all for so many years." All right. 2 for the price of 2. Who's excited?
How long is the stage show that they got to cut so much out to make it a movie? Like, they're just trying to pull a Hobbit, or is it actually like, is there a reason to do this?
I think the stage show is long though, but
the number I saw, the number I saw in this Hollywood Reporter article, the stage musical is 2 hours and 45 minutes.
That's the length of a movie.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays.
Yeah. Come on, guys.
This is a money grab. I mean, we've seen stuff like this in the past, and now it's just easily recognizable.
I find this very, very odd because, as John was saying, this is 2 hours 45 minutes. This isn't Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, which is like 7 hours long, 2 parts or whatever it is. And we've seen so many musicals recently not really connect at the box office. In the Heights, that this director also did this past year, didn't do well box office wise. West Side Story, again, struggled at the box office. So these musicals aren't connecting at the box office. So why are we doing this? Like Wicked, I'm sure is popular. I haven't seen it, but like Cats was also popular. And and you can't say, well, Cats was just bad. In the Heights and West Side Story had great reviews. West Side Story had Oscar nominations, and it still didn't connect. All these films are flopping, these musical films. So it's like, you're not only like December 2024 when Wicked 1 comes out and bombs. What are you going to do with that December 2025 part 2?
Yeah.
Like, are people going to rush out knowing now it's a part 1? Now you're not going to get a full story. You're just going to get to intermission.
Yeah.
It's a wild choice and a wild bet. When like, it's one thing to make Infinity War and Endgame kind of be like a two-parter. That makes sense. The superhero movies, they're going to make money. Musicals we've been seeing aren't making money.
Wicked does have a large following, but still, as even like maybe even someone who might be interested to go see the movie, now seeing that it's 2 movies, I'm like, I don't know if I want to sit through a 2-parter when I didn't even know if I wanted to sit through the first one. You know what I mean?
A 1-parter, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It just feels like homework when the stage show is not. You could make the movie equal length to the stage show. I don't see why you shouldn't be able to do that. This just feels like a money grab. I don't know why. I don't know why they do this.
Yeah, I don't get it either. And sure that you got some stars in this movie. I believe Ariana Grande's in the movie, but still, I don't think we're seeing it with In the Heights, West Side Story, all those musicals I mentioned. They're just not connecting. So you really think, this one will connect? Third time's the charm or whatever number of times we're up to at this point. I don't see it, but I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe they're hoping that the movie will breathe life back into the. I mean, isn't it sold out on Broadway for like ever and ever and ever? So maybe they hope it'll, I don't know, keep recycling that attendance wheel. You know what I mean?
I guess. But I mentioned Ariana Grande, and that is a kind of segue to the man Pete Davidson. The SNL star is set to play a heightened, fictionalized version of himself in Bupkis, a new comedy series at Peacock. The Curb Your Enthusiasm-esque half hour will be written and executive produced by Davidson, along with an executive producer credit for SNL boss Lorne Michaels. Quote, it will combine grounded storytelling with absurd elements from the unfiltered and completely original worldview for which Pete is well known. All right, who's ready? Pete.
Did he get all this from dating his daughter?
How awkward would that must be? I mean, like, literally, your first big girlfriend, like, dad is known for like this specific show, and now it's like, well, you got rid of her, and now you're gonna do his show.
Yeah,
and I like how they say like it's for the unfiltered and completely original worldview for which Pete is well known. I'm gonna be honest. It's gonna sound rude, but what humor is like Pete really like known for?
Being a moron.
Like I like his stand-up on Weekend Update. I like his bits that he does, like his stand-up, but I don't know like his brand of humor. Like, Jerry Seinfeld, you could be like, oh, it's the observational. Hey, did you ever notice that?
Yeah.
Like there's a certain brand to these comedians. I couldn't put into words what is Pete Davidson's comedy brand. At this point, I think he's more known for dating.
Yeah.
His dating life, his popularity, his celebrity status. Then he should be a dating show host at this point on Peacock. He should be hosting like The Bachelor, not a comedy show that's Larry David. But, yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how this is gonna turn out because you're right. I mean, what is his? I've seen some of his stand-up specials, but
yeah,
dude, I don't know. Anything with Pete Davidson is a little like touch and go. You're like, it could be good or it could be,
Yeah, do I really want, like, I like him in the 3-minute bursts on Weekend Update, but am I going to like a 30-minute weekly dose of his life.
But also it says
Dating
a heightened
supermodel,
a heightened version of himself. Like,
he's already.
I know. That's what I was thinking of. Like, he's already like.
How can it get any better?
caricature.
How can it get any better?
Yeah.
For this guy, but
it's like he's already living that life. Is this like going to be Entourage 2.0 with more comedy? Because Entourage was supposed to be a comedy, you know?
Yeah, maybe, but it's gonna be on Peacock. I don't know. Am I gonna have to jump to Peacock to talk about Bupkis? But
What do we think about the name? I mean,
I don't know.
We'll see, I guess.
Yeah, I think we could have come up with something, especially with the Curb Your Enthusiasm. We could have done something with Davidson. Like, I'm sure there's something.
Yeah.
Something BDE. There's something in there. We could something, but yeah, this will be on Peacock. It's not going to be on HBO where Curb Your Enthusiasm is, and also where The Idol is hopefully at some point going to be. That's the HBO series co-created and executive produced by The Weeknd, Euphoria's Sam Levinson, and Reza Fahmin. It's being significantly reworked after completing multiple episodes of the 6-episode series. So it was announced June 2021 that The Weeknd was slated to star in the series about a LA nightclub owner turned cult leader who romances a rising star. But now the director who was slated to direct all 6 episodes has officially exited. The actress Susanna Son has left as well. And even though episodes have been shot, they're doing them over.
Wow. Someone must have really, I don't know, something. Something sounds like almost like, I don't know, like illegal or something happened. I don't know. You just like wonder, did somebody get like sexually harassed or something? I don't know.
There's a lot of questions going on. Like, what made them completely just like start from scratch when they spent so much money?
Yeah.
It's not cheap to do a day of shooting, a week of shooting, but to complete multiple episodes and of half the season, it sounds like. Oh man.
Well, just like with the Bill Murray stuff that's been happening, you're like, is it just like that's why I went there already, but it's just it's just wild. But you've been seeing creative differences with like the Fast and the Furious and Justin Lin and all that too. So I don't know, man.
And that was costing, I believe, like $1 million a day. So that's why Universal's like, okay, we just need to get anyone because we have cast and crew just sitting around. Like, I could have put my name into the ring for that because it's like, you need somebody to just get going on this project because you're just, throwing money down the toilet waiting. Mm-hmm. But in this deadline report, when Susanna Son, who was dropped amid this retooling, it was because allegedly The Weeknd felt the show was, quote, leaning too much into a female perspective. Susanna was going to be playing one of the cult members of this. This is where I find it very confusing. Did you guys just not have scripts, outlines, a production bible of like what this show is? Because, it's like, what is it? First of all, what does that even mean? But then second, it's like, okay, well, maybe have more scenes of your character, Weeknd. But like, you have to have that in scripts and in outlines. Did you guys not have that?
Yeah. It sounds like she's just taking the fall for poor planning or insecurity on his end. Does he feel like his performance is being overshadowed? I can't tell if this is like an insecurity thing or who knows, man. I mean, people start creating all these different, justifications for everything when they're not getting their way, I don't know. Yeah.
And for me, all I could think of, man, is because we mentioned the EP involved in this. Sam Levinson, he's taking over for the director who's leaving. He's expected to have more of a role in directing the series. HBO must really like this guy because from costing them to restart this production from scratch, and then the numerous stuff we've talked about with Euphoria, there was numerous articles about the kind of toxic set, how he ran season 2 and the long hours, the way the extras were treated. Like, there's just so much stuff with that. It's like, whatever he's doing, they must really like because they keep giving him more and more chances and more responsibilities on these different shows.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I don't know,
man.
At some point, maybe we'll see this series. I don't know. Maybe they'll get it on take 2. Maybe third time will be the charm.
Honestly, anything. Do we know The Weeknd could act? Like, I don't know. I'm scared.
And that's, again, HBO's putting a lot of money in this gamble here. They're really going all in.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they have another issue on their hands, HBO. That's Jerry West. The Los Angeles Lakers legend and the NBA icon Jerry West has declared his portrayal of himself in the HBO drama Winning Time as, quote, deliberately false characterization and a baseless portrayal. We discussed Winning Time, the premiere, episode 376. I haven't watched any more of Winning Time. Have you guys watched any more Winning Time?
Yeah, I'm all caught up except for this past Sunday's episode.
So you'll be able to give us more context of this portrayal, but I'm going to read what Jerry West wrote in a letter that was issued to executive producer Adam McKay, as well as HBO and its parent company, Warner Brothers Discovery. West's attorneys state that the series has, quote, caused great distress to Jerry and his family, and he's demanding legal retraction from HBO within 2 weeks. Quote, you took a happy and super successful Lakers era and turned it into a pulpy soap opera. You depicted the people in a false light, not at all who they are, to garnish ratings and make money. And the letter also contained testimony from colleagues like Claire Rotham, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, both who are portrayed in the series, and the latter of which had his own essay criticizing the show. So I'm going to ask you, Kyle, specifically, I mean, you can talk about any of the portrayals, but specifically with Jerry West, is it damning? Is it, is it a false characterization, baseless portrayal?
There's been a lot of chatting on Twitter about this, and I don't really know because I didn't know Jerry West that well. Like, even in sports media world, I didn't really know, but apparently, like, he's been said to be like a nice, respectful dude. And in the show, they just have him as like a raving madman who's just angry all the time, and just saying some impolite stuff to kind of coworkers and stuff like that. So I think it's in those instances that he's like, hey, wait, I wasn't really like this. But I still think the what they're trying to portray, the fact that he never got over all these losses that he had when he was younger, they're trying to build that up through this like anger and resentment inside him. So they are probably taking it a lot further than what he's like in real life. But isn't that,
that's every movie, television show, book, podcast, everything. Yeah.
And same thing. Apparently Magic Johnson has not been happy either, because even though, it is known that that's how he contracted HIV, is by, sleeping with all these women, having it played over and over again. While for his wife to see has not been so kind.
I bet. Yeah, all I remember from the pilot episode is Jerry West throwing the trophy through a window, Kareem on the set of, was it Naked Gun, telling a kid to F off. So, yeah, I could see what they have issues with. But here's what HBO said. They were staying quiet for a while, but they released a statement. First, HBO said, HBO has a long history of producing compelling content drawn from actual facts and events that are fictionalized in part for dramatic purposes. Winning Time is not a documentary and has not been presented as such. However, the series and its depictions are based on extensive factual research and reliable sourcing, and HBO stands resolutely behind our talented creators and cast who have brought a dramatization of this epic chapter in basketball history to the screen. I love that specific line. These depictions are based on extensive factual research and reliable sourcing, so we got it right. Leave us alone. But like, HBO must feel confident enough to risk lawsuits because they went all in on this, and they've done it so many times before. Whether it was with there's their TV movies of like Game Change and Recount and Paterno, and then obviously Adam McKay had his movie Vice, and he did a doc for HBO, Q, Into the Storm with QAnon. So I don't know. I
think they'll be fine, because I think they even put a disclaimer in the before or after the show. So I think it's gonna be fine.
Yeah, and we have this Los Angeles Times column here that we're showing on Twitch. There is, some people saying that, yeah, as you mentioned, Kyle, that this isn't the Jerry West that they know. To counterpoint all this, this sports writer said it in a piece, HBO's Winning Time gets some things right about the Showtime era, but not Jerry West. This sports writer took issue with scenes like in the pilot when he breaks the golf club over his knee yelling profanities, that West would never break, clubs in a temper tantrum. Like, he was always like Mr. Clutch in public. He was this nice guy in public.
Uh-huh.
So again, there's this kind of like back and forth, but at the end of the day, I think by like doing this, it's like this weird thing of like publicity is good publicity, and like bringing it up, like the audience continues to grow on this.
Mm-hmm.
It's been up 45% since the premiere. The premiere alone has like 7 million viewers at this point total. So it's like, I'm, outside of people, if they're hearing, wait, oh, what's going on with this Jerry West? Oh, why is he so mad about this? Maybe I should take a look for myself. And it's just like, if he just kind of like shut his mouth, maybe it would have blown up into something. But if more and more people, the Lakers, like, oh, we hate this. Oh, this is terrible. It's like, oh, maybe I should check it out. See what everyone's talking about.
Yeah.
It's like this, like back and forth, when one goes up, the other goes up as well.
Yeah. I saw a couple of tweets from a couple of journalists that lived during the era, and they called like the show cartoonish because it's just so ridiculous. But I dig it. I think it's interesting show, and it's cool to, everything's a dramatization. That is Hollywood. Yeah. So what can you expect? Do I honestly think that these characters are completely 100% like that? No. Or that those situations all happened, not in that specific way, but
tell me, you think I should get back into it? I thought
I enjoy it. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's because I like
the basketball.
But it's interesting learning about even those, those sports figures during that time, like what they went through.
Yeah. I really like The Last Dance. I was really into that.
Yeah.
So.
This is still well done, and everyone does a really good job with their performances. The casting on it is so good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe, who knows? This isn't enough for West. He's willing to go to the Supreme Court with this. So maybe this will be the next big court case that we're going to be sitting through and watching, a live stream of. Can't get enough of those, can we, at this point? All right. Well, we got 2 shows still to talk about tonight. In order to talk about them, we have to go back. Send us back.
Back in time.
We're back, baby.
Gotta get back in time.
All right. Under the Banner of Heaven, the series premiere When God Was Love. 2 episodes, I believe, dropped on April 28th. On Hulu. It's an FX show, but it's on Hulu, not FX on Hulu, just Hulu. All right. The faith of a police detective played by Andrew Garfield is shaken when investigating the murder of a Mormon mother and her baby daughter that seems to maybe involve the church, the Mormon church there. So we checked out this first episode. I actually have seen 2. I'm going to keep it mostly to just 1 episode. Let's start off with John. What did you think of Under the Banner of Heaven?
I enjoyed it. I think that is partially due to I kind of like the murder mysteries thing. We've covered a few on the show, and generally I think I like them. They're one of my higher rated things. But I kind of like that it's not weird, but I don't know a lot about the church in this instance. So finding out about some of their customs and stuff while you're going through this kind of, in my mind, is solidifying, what's going on the screen. I think it works really well. So yeah, I've been enjoying it. I wanted to watch more than one, but I didn't because I feel like whenever I watch more than one and we talk about the first one, my opinions aren't contained to the first one. So I put it on the back burner. But yeah, I did enjoy this.
Yeah, you briefly mentioned it, and we'll definitely dive deep into it. But the way they do this is interesting because, yeah, you have the detective true crime element of this story with Andrew Garfield's character, but then we get flashbacks of of everything going on with this family that maybe have led to these events. And then also flashbacks to like the beginning of the Mormon faith. So we're getting a history lesson with this true crime element. But before I dive into that, Kyle, what did you think of the premiere?
I didn't love it, to be honest.
Okay.
I thought the flash edits of like them, whatever, Andrew Garfield's character, whatever he's noticing from his past or whatever, those flash edits, I found them to be distracting. A little bit of the camera work early on was distracting when they were trying to create like some tension and some unease. I will say I'm into the detective part of it. Everything about that, totally into Andrew Garfield, whatever the situation going on with the church, with the guy kind of explaining this religious overtones to whatever's happening to him. But the actual, at that family gathering, I wanted no part of that. I just was.
That is so interesting.
I just was like done with it. I just did not.
I am the complete opposite.
That's wild.
I like, okay, Andrew Garfield, the detective stuff, fine, but to me it just seemed like very like, not cliche is not the right word, but like how many detective series have we seen? Yeah, the flashes of the victims.
Yeah,
it's such a cliche in these cop shows. He's gonna be tested. His faith is gonna be tested,
yes,
and it's just
totally.
Oh my god, like we've seen
totally
that
agree
so much. But then I was like into the stuff of like the flashback with like this family, because it's like we're seeing a lot of great actors: Sam Worthington, Daisy Edgar Jones from Normal People, Wyatt Russell, and we're getting this like Succession style thing with Logan, the patriarch, going away on a mission, and he's now putting his like sons up against each other. Let's see, Dan, you're gonna head this thing, and he completely bypassing Ron, and he even got a Culkin brother in there.
Yeah.
And it's like it's Succession just with the Mormon faith instead of on Wall Street. So I was into that, and I like those actors. I think I'm a fan of Wyatt Russell, and there's a scene in episode 2 with his character that was just you saw the performance there and how the stress of him running the family is gonna get to him for sure. So I was into that. John, are you?
I think
on one side, or
I
you
think I'm in the middle because I think that what's going on with the origin of him meeting his wife and the family is reflecting and setting up what's happening later. You know what I mean? I think it would still work if you didn't have it, but I think that it really it grounds the characters into a situation where they have beliefs that they maybe either can't change, or in the husband's case maybe is fighting and trying to change. And I think that without having that background, the current day doesn't quite have the same impact.
Yeah, and you can definitely see like the old families set in their ways when this newcomer to the group, Brenda, Daisy Edgar Jones, come in as like this outsider to this group, and even like all the men seem to like her, some more so in a a more of a romantic way, which is interesting. But then there's the gender conventions of like the men are out in the field clearing rocks, and the women are watching by the sidelines, but she jumps in to help with this, and you can see like all the family kind of giving dirty looks like, oh, this isn't right. And like, so you're starting to see clues as maybe this is why so-and-so may want to do something to her later on, which we see in the pilot episode, or, stuff like that. You see how this family may be turning. So I was into that, like that kind of mystery element, seeing, maybe why this person would not like this person. But, yeah, it's interesting how we're on two different sides
I just
here.
think it's not just because a lot of it gave a lot of it gave me like the creeps, man. The fact that you're mentioning,
I think it's supposed to.
I know the fact that you're mentioning the tension comes from the fact that a woman wanted to pick rocks over stand and make lemonade is crazy. And I get what you're saying about the cliche of the detective stuff, because I totally agree with that, because I even wrote down some notes here about that. But still, I think I would get with the whole family dynamic if I had somebody else to root for. Yes, I have her, but who else is there that's not creepy or weird or messed up? It's like I need something. I need somebody else to grab onto, and I feel like you get that a little bit with the Ron, I think is the brother, who seems like he's on the outs, but we don't know what the dynamic is.
Yeah.
We don't know what the dynamic is to be like, should I be rooting for him? Because the father seems kind of crazy, but then all the rest of the family members seem crazy. So what's the deal here? So I think maybe a little bit more time to see.
Yeah. I will say at one point I was pulled out to go back to Andrew Garfield. It was when I'm like, man, he's a dad. I don't know if I'm buying this. And then I looked up his age. I'm like, oh, he's 38. I'm like, he's 38.
Yeah, dude.
Like, oh my
boy.
God. Okay, I guess he is a dad. Like, I don't know, man. Oh, but I'm gonna say a quick complaint. This is Dave's corner. I don't know what this is, but I'm gonna talk about this podcast I listened to. I'm gonna keep it spoiler free for you guys. I got spoiled, but I'm gonna keep it spoiler free for you. So I listen to TV's Top 5 podcast, the Hollywood Reporter podcast. They release on Fridays. They'll have a showrunner from the show talk about whatever big premiere is that week. So I watched the first episode Thursday night. Friday morning, I put on this thing. The first question with the showrunner was asked, like, how did you go about starting this? Because I didn't know this. This is not only based on a book, but it's on a true crime. So this really happened. And so he said, well, I'll just paraphrase, but to research, I looked through Brenda's diaries, and then I visited X in prison.
Oh.
And immediately I turned it off, and I'm like, hello? Like, the show, you're presenting it as a mystery. Sure, it's a true crime. But like, this isn't the OJ trial that everyone saw and knows by heart. This is like, and if it is something we all know, why didn't you show that, in the very first scene and then do a flashback of like why that person got arrested?
Yeah.
And it's just like, so I was just like really annoyed that like literally the first question, no spoiler warning. And I even tweeted to one of the hosts of the podcast, and I was just like, did I just get spoiled? And that person said, quote, it's much more of a why done it or how done it than a who done it.
Not after the first episode, dude. Come on.
And not after the second one either. So
I mean, the producer could have bleeped out even after the guy said it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's why I was like surprised. Or even at the producer or the host of the podcast being like, hey, by the way, we're gonna do spoilers, of the case or whatever. None of that. So I got spoiled. Oh well, but I'm hoping I will be able to enjoy the why done it or the how done it of the case. But yeah, that was just my little complaint.
Yeah,
I wanted to get off my chest.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a show complaint. That sounds like a Hollywood Reporter complaint.
Yeah,
you should write the Hollywood Reporter.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, like for the showrunner, like you have a mystery. It's like whatever the.
Is that the most important part to you? Is to protect the mystery so that people want to watch? Like, I don't know. That
because like sure,
me.
the answer's out there for people that can want to seek it out, but it's like I wasn't wanting to seek it out. I just wanted to know more about the show.
Yeah.
But now it's like I got burned. But oh well. Enough of me complaining about it. With all that being said, I've watched 2 of the 2 so far. I think I'm gonna keep watching with it. I am interested. Especially with some of the performances, as we mentioned, Daisy Edgar-Jones, Wyatt Russell, Andrew Garfield, of course. So I'm gonna keep watching. Are you guys gonna keep it going?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I might, depending on what you guys are saying. I might watch the next one and then go from there.
Yeah, it's a full hour.
Also, it's like movie episodes. I'm like, oh, scared of that.
I wouldn't say it's slow, but it definitely is paced. Is what I got from the first episode. I could see where there were times where I was like, all right, but it wasn't anything where I was like dying about it,
And that's where I went with, for me, like the initial scenes of the interrogation with Andrew Garfield and the suspected killer in the first episode, because it almost was like a play, the 2 detectives and him, and it was just them in that room, and I'm like, man, yeah, we're here slow. And then we got the first flashback. I'm like, okay, that's what we're doing here, that's what we're gonna show. But all right, and that is our first show. We got another show with a series premiere, Shining Girls. Series premiere, Apple TV Plus, was called Cut Line. It dropped on Friday, April 29th. This one is based on the 2013 novel The Shining Girls, and it's Elizabeth Moss playing Kirby, who years after a brutal attack left her in a constantly shifting reality, she teams with a veteran reporter to understand her ever-changing present and to confront her past. All right, this is an interesting one. I'm really curious to hear what you guys think of Shining Girls. Kyle, start me off.
I thought another one where it's like might take a wait and see approach. I thought it was okay. I'm into the mystery of it. There seems to be some kind of killer that is crossing timelines or something, using objects to kind of tap into people's timelines and then attack them. It's a very strange thing, but Elizabeth Moss' character seems to have been one of the only ones that have gotten away. So, yeah, it's kind of an interesting story. I am interested in the mystery. There were some cliche things with it that like I felt about Under the Banner of Heaven as well. But I don't know. I think this was much better pace for me. It didn't have any of the weird flash edits, so I was into this one more, I think.
I hear you. Yeah, another mystery element to this. We'll definitely talk about Jamie Bell and his possible time traveling thing going on. But John, let's hear from you first. What did you think of Shining Girls?
I think of the two we saw, this was the weaker one for me. Okay. I do like time travel.
We're all over the place tonight. Yeah. We're all on different sides. This isn't dual redundancy.
No. I like time travel. I like weird things like this. I just couldn't grab a hold of what this show was doing. Maybe that would change after a few episodes. I like the idea that she's kind of like, see, I don't know if is it actual where she's hopping into different realities or something, or is it just her perception's so messed up that she can't like mentally comprehend whether she has a cat or a dog. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that was really clear to me. And as much as I liked the idea that things would shift around here, I don't think I'm getting enough reason why as a viewer to make me understand how it's
more.
It's
you need more of the crumbs that they're leaving. You need even more.
It didn't give me enough to make me say, oh, I see what's going on. How's this ending? It's more of, for me still, what the hell's going on? So it wasn't bad. I wouldn't say no to watching more, but it's definitely one of those ones where I don't think it gave me enough to sit there and really invest more time into it. But who knows? Maybe another episode will solve that. I don't know. It's one episode. A lot of the shows we watch, the first episode is set up, and you don't get a feel for the show until 2-3 episodes in. So I don't know.
Yeah, let's start off with Elizabeth Moss, the star of this. Obviously, she has a good track record when it comes to TV. West Wing, Mad Men, Handmaid's Tale, and she's leading this project. And we get this character, as you mentioned, John. We don't know exactly what's going on. Her perspective is certainly changing. She's changing realities or timelines or worlds or whatever. She's writing in her journal like what she knows or what she thinks she knows. All right, this is the name of my cat. And then later she has to update it. It's like, no, actually that's the name of my dog. And then, no, it is her cat at the end. And we see like the medical examiner at one point go from the female Iris to the male Howard. At the very end, we get the apartment. She was in the wrong apartment. She goes upstairs and I guess completely forgets that her coworker is her boyfriend. There's like a surprise reveal there. So something happened, and we know whatever it was, it definitely stems from this brutal attack. I mean, we just see the scar from it, and we hear about it, and even still, it just sounds. I mean, it sounds brutal. I mean, how possibly part of her intestines were removed, and the killer left something inside, and that's maybe his calling card, and that leads into Jamie Bell, who I'm assuming is this killer that everyone is talking about as Harper, this time traveling multiverse traveler. What's going on here, John? What do you think?
I don't know. I wasn't expecting this to be science fiction, I guess. So that maybe that's why I'm not grabbing it. But yeah, I mean, we see him in this intro, giving this girl, or I guess maiming this girl's bee and removing the bee wings, which then returns to her 30 years later when she's working, and she sees him again, and he doesn't look like he's really aged all that much. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on. I wasn't quite expecting it to be science fiction, I guess,
Yeah, I completely didn't even realize it was the possibly same person, and that makes sense now because he did say like, "Oh, you remember me?" or "You recognize
me
me
this time?" Yeah,
and yeah, something's going on because like in that scenario, I think it was like in the '60s or wherever it was. He asked the young girl to take this statue, and he's like, "I don't want it," and then he's like, "Well, you'll take it. You always do." And it's like, "You always do." That's interesting to say that. Like, yeah, how many times has this happened? Is this a Groundhog's Day thing? And this is multiple times or multiple attempts or like what's happening? Why does she always take this? And yeah, his calling card is kind of taking the bees, like the wings off of the bee. And he's also really good. Maybe he's had multiple attempts, but to catch bees, right, midair and to do it and like very fine work. But we see it come back at this like kind of space museum where he picks his latest victim in present day, which this is this I might have been just confused when I was watching it. Is this 1992 that Elizabeth Moss is in, or is this contemporary? Because it looked pretty contemporary to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the time.
Like, are we in two different time periods still, where it's Elizabeth Moss in the 90s and then this attack that we get at the very end contemporary?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't know. I don't know. It's tough to say.
Not enough clues, not enough info.
Yeah. But yeah, I will say, I don't know if this was a cliche for you, Kyle, but it came off for me where the kind of the telescope attack scene where it was like this red room, it felt a little bit too Criminal Minds, over the top of like with the music and just the lighting and then the attack. It just felt very like
yeah. There was another moment of that with the narrating coroner giving us the backstory as she's talking. It's like who in their right mind would do this out loud? Saying everything as you're,
part of an investigation. Like, what are you doing?
And I know it's like the coroner, like that's the room, she's working in, but like for somebody who's been assaulted like that, I don't know if like putting them on, the autopsy table, seeing like the big light in the mirror is going to help. Like it's not, oh my God. But
I just, other thing that bothered me about this show is they were trying to make Elizabeth Moss seem younger, but the fact that they had her mother and her look the same age. They look like they could be sisters. It's rude what they did.
I noticed that too. I'm like, what is this age difference here? I'm very confused.
Wild.
But who knows? Maybe that's not her mom. We were seeing a different perspective of it.
Maybe.
It's very confusing. I don't know, but I am interested in the mystery of it all. They set up enough for me to keep going. I would have liked more, clues or more crumbs as we talked about, but again, maybe I just have to wait. They did release 3 episodes on Apple TV Plus. I've only watched 1 so far, so maybe they'll answer more in that second episode. But I think they got me at least for a little bit. There's just so much TV right now. It's one of those things where it's like there's so much out.
It's a tough part of the year. Yeah, that's what's making me think of like, do I want to put in the time?
Yeah. And there is so much going on. Get ready for Emmys and so it sounds like John is out.
Yeah.
Kyle's on the fence.
I'm willing to give it another shot, but I want to hear that it is payoff for it. You know what I mean? Before I invest the time. If there's payoff, sure. If it's just like, oh yeah, he does this and that's it, and it's like, all right, dude, like, we'll see.
Yeah, now I'm curious, is this a miniseries or a... They never mention that anymore because anything can become something else. They always keep it vague, and then it's like, really we always want it to be a miniseries, or it does well. Oh yeah, it's 6 seasons in a movie. Yeah. It's like,
I'm curious, what was of the 2, Dave, what would you say you're more high on?
That's tough. They're pretty equal to me, where there's things I liked about both, but also pros and cons of
Yeah.
both. I really liked the performances of, as I mentioned, those, Daisy Edgar Jones and Wyatt Russell and just that whole flashback sequence. So I like all that stuff. But then I was kind of the pacing, the length was dragging. These episodes are shorter. And then we have the mystery element. I think the mystery's stronger here. I wasn't spoiled on this mystery.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to this. So it's like, I go back and forth, but I don't know where I'm giving the edge to. I think the Under the Banner of Heaven, at least right now, is more like well produced, like cinematically. But Jamie Bell and Elizabeth Moss are also giving great performances in Shining Girl. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have a preference over the two, Kyle?
I would probably say the mystery of the Shining Girls has me a little bit more, but I do agree that production wise, I think the other one is a better watch. But I like the mystery, so I think I'm gonna stick around that, and then if you guys tell me something gets better with the other one, then I'll keep going with that one.
All right, yeah, sounds like we're all on different page. John, you can tell Kyle. Kyle, you can tell John. I'll be in the middle. I'll be Switzerland. All right, but yeah, that is it for this week. We had 2 series premieres, and next week we will have a series finale. That's going to be the series finale of Ozark. They released their episodes on Friday. We will, by next Monday, have watched the final half of the final season of Ozark. And then we may go into The Staircase. And if that name sounds familiar, we talked about the documentary The Staircase, but now HBO Max has a dramatized version of The Staircase with, I believe, Colin Firth. Toni Collette, I believe, is in it as well. So maybe we'll check out how they handle it when it becomes, a dramatic series instead of a documentary series. But you can find episodes of the podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the blog, doordonc.com, and we're live Monday nights. I'm still getting used to it. Monday nights on Twitch, twitch.tv/doredundancy, 8 p.m. Eastern. And you can find us on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram at doredundancy. I want to thank both of you guys for joining me tonight, for watching these shows, for John directing the show, getting up on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I couldn't do it without both of you. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Until next time, I'm David Allen.
I'm Jumper.
I'm Kyle Bridger.
And that's all we got for Do or Duncy. Goodbye, everybody.